You have less control than you think, but more power than you'll ever know. You're listening to the Be Better podcast. I'm Harrison Orr, and after being a defensive, reactive nice guy who almost destroyed his marriage, I now lead myself and my marriage from a place of deep, calm fulfillment, and I help men and other people to do the same. Now, recently, a lot of my content has blown up on Facebook, and the amount of comments on that has been insane. And it's given me a reminder of so many of the different opinions and perspectives out there. And I wanted to really dial this back in because so many people, when they're talking about changing a marriage, they're focused on the other person. Well, my wife or my husband needs to do this. They need to do that. I do all this. And what you end up having is two people who feel unappreciated and unheard, just vomiting their distaste at the other person and how they're the problem. And nobody taking ownership. Nobody actually slowing things down and actually communicating what they're feeling without spewing that blame and and without actually hearing how the other person feels. And so consequently, you never get to a point of understanding because everyone's just on their high horse. Well, they should have to change. And then you've got the other side who maybe fall into the category of maybe nice, not the other side, but the other angle of people that are more maybe nice guys or manipulators that try to, well, if I change, then they will change as well with like a level of expectation of, well, I started doing this, so you should do that. So I'm leading more, so you should soften and just trust me. You should do this and you should do that. When, like, yes, there's an opportunity for our partner to change in response to the way that we show up differently. But changing with that as an expectation will set you up for failure. Like, what you will end up doing if that's the frame that you're coming into this change with is, okay, I didn't lose my shit this week. And then you're looking at them for recognition, for validation. Like, hello, I'm doing the work. Have you seen it now? Like, stop being such a bitch, just stop being such a dick, like, relax and, you know, come and worship me again. It's trying to bring back the connection, the intimacy, trying to rush all this through because you've connected some outcome or somebody else's behavior with yours. And I think that's a completely wrong way to look about it because it's still externally focused. One of the most powerful things you can do in your life, and this is by far this is the most powerful thing that I've done in my life, eh, but hands down, is the ability to be authentic. The ability to feel what I feel, to express what I feel, to do it unapologetically. And because of that, has created the marriage that I now have, that I now fucking love being in, has created the energy of the home that I am proud to say that I've cultivated, that I've created, where my wife and my son can express their emotions and I not lose my shit. I hold it for them. I help them to navigate it. I like help give them what they need in that space, not because I'm trying to suppress their emotions. I'm trying to perform whatever I think they need. It's just an expression of who I am. And it just comes naturally. And it is so much less effort to do it this way. Like, I don't have to think about, oh, what does my wife need me to say? How do I need to do this? Or like trying to perform these things. It's just a natural expression. And when we talk about being like more masculine or more feminine, if you're in the 80% of human beings, 80% of men are more natural, are more masculine anyway. 80% of females are more feminine naturally. You've got 10% that are completely neutral, that don't have a sway either way. And you've got 10% which kind of go the opposite way. But if you're in the 80% and listening to this podcast, I dare say you are, then you don't really need to be so worried about, oh, well, how do I be more masculine lead and do this thing? Or how do I be more feminine and soften and do this stuff? Like, you are those things naturally. And there are parts blocking you, I'm not going to sit here and say you're perfect the way you are, because if you're not happy with something in your life and I tell you that, well, where does that leave you? That doesn't serve you. That's why people are depressed, because they get told like, "Oh, you're fine the way that you are." Like, dude, no, you're not. Work on yourself. That's where shit gets better, when you can own your shit and know that, okay, I'm not as good as I could be, but that doesn't mean that I am any less worthy. I am any less valuable. Separation. Because there are parts of you that are blocking you from that expression. There's a part of you that maybe gets defensive because they're afraid to get it wrong. There's a part of you that doesn't want to be seen, because if you get seen in your fullness, then you will be judged, you will be criticized, you will be laughed at, you will be ostracized or abandoned. Or maybe, hell, if your partner fully saw you for all that you are and loved you for all that you are, that would scare the shit out of you, because you haven't learned to love yourself. Because you haven't learned to look at your own flaws and your own insecurities and still find a way to love yourself. So you think, how the fuck could anybody else? And so you hide that shit. Because most people's fear is like, oh, they'll see me for who I really am and leave me. Like, cool, man. People have left you before. Right? Having someone love you despite those things is uncharted territory for, I dare say, 99% of the human population, because they're not able to do it for themselves. And you might say like, "Oh, I love myself, like I eat healthy and I get my sleep and I do this and I have this pleasure practice," whatever it is. Cool, man. Like, words are not enough. Like, just to say like, "Oh yeah, I love myself. I'm not that bad. I'm this and that." Love is action oriented. Can you be sure of yourself regardless of what other people think? Can you show up and be who you are without fear of judgment? Without letting other people dictate your worth, without other people telling you how good or how bad you are, with you already knowing your worth. Like being able to stand butt naked in front of someone, arms out, and say like, "This is me, motherfucker," and know who you are, is the most powerful place you can be, because there is nothing to hide. Like if you look at all the parts of you, and break it down. Like think of all the patterns that are showing up in your marriage. We'll focus there for now. The parts of you that your default to, whatever you want, up to you. The people pleaser part, the part that avoids the conflict, the part that maybe gets reactive or defensive, the part of you that doesn't want to be seen fully, the part of you that doesn't love yourself. Because if you don't love yourself, you can't really love your partner. Yeah, you can do loving gestures, but there's a difference between acting lovingly and actually loving someone. Huge fucking difference. And it's not to do with the acts, it's to do with what you feel. And so when you look at those parts, they are all there to protect you. That's what's getting in the way of you being able to stand there, own who you are, love who you are, and do it unapologetically. Because everyone wants to talk about, oh, just be authentic, be yourself. Most people have no idea what the fuck that means. And I know I didn't. I heard people say, like, especially recently with so much AI, people saying, like, oh, for a personal brand, you need to be authentic, you need to be human, and all this stuff. Like, what do you mean? What does, just be you? What does that mean? And people say like, "Oh, when nobody's looking, what do you like?" And people take the gross route like, "Oh, you pick your nose and you fart." It's like, "No, you're not gross." Like, people that have to ask, "What does it mean to be authentic?" are looking for a tactic or a strategy. But being authentic is to quote someone that I'm doing some work with, as of next week, Nick Comodina, is authenticity is the absence of all technique. It's the version of you where you don't have to think about what you say. You don't have to think about what you do. And this doesn't mean that you're just a raging asshole. You just say what you think and you have no filter. It's just what you do and what you say is an expression of who you are. Right? It comes from presence, not from reaction. And there's a huge difference. Like you can feel when you're in the presence of someone that's like, that's that's just them, right? That's just how they are. You feel it. Versus other people where, maybe they're trying to be funny or they're trying to sound smart or they're trying to, wear these masks and you feel it, right? You feel that they're trying to perform for your validation, for your laugh, for your approval, to be liked, whatever it is. Like you feel it. And it's the same in your marriage. But we can't get to that place if we're so focused on the other person changing. We can't get to that place if, well, I'm only going to make this change if they change too. I'm only going to put this effort in if they put effort in too. And it becomes this scorekeeping of, well, I've done this, you need to do that, which does not serve anybody. It's fucking exhausting. Like, above all, remember that we're on the same team. We're on the same team, ultimately, I believe, trying to make each other the most authentic version that we can. Like, that's what I think the purpose of marriage is to find someone where you can help each other to be the best version of each other because you've created the trust and the safety with each other that you can lean into so you can take risks in the outside world, that you can see each other for who you truly are and you still love them. They're still your favorite person. And you can also trust them to maybe call you out on your bullshit, but it comes from a place of love rather than a criticism or as a put down. And I think so many marriages would be significantly better off if those conversations would be received that way, as opposed to be taken personally and as criticism. Because even when we look at those criticisms and when you take things personally, why would we do that? Why would those things upset us? Because there's a part of us that knows it's true, or at least a part of us that believes it as well. A part of us that believes we're not good enough. A part of us that believes that we're a mistake. A part of us that believes this thing, and someone else has just provided a case study or an example of that, and then we don't like it. So instead of owning it, we push it back onto them. But coming back to the authenticity place, like that is the goal. Like life becomes so much easier when you don't have to think about these scripts, when you don't have to think about what to say, who to be, who do they need me to be, when you can just express that. There is so much peace and freedom in that. And let me tell you, it's magnetic. Like if you've ever wanted to inspire someone to change, if you've ever wanted to like change for yourself, but then also, use that hope that that's an invitation for your partner to change, this is the way to do it. Because when we change, that's all this is. If your marriage isn't the way that you want it to be and you want to be the one to change, whether your partner has said you need to change or you've recognized you want to do it for yourself, that's all this is you have for your own reasons that cool, I'm willing to own that these behaviors, these patterns are mine. I'm going to address them. I'm going to change. I'm going to step up into this version of me that I want to be because I naturally want to be the best version of myself possible. And then that provides the invitation for our partners to change. Because if your partner is not willing to change, if your partner doesn't have the capacity to change, if your partner has been so focused on the victim story, on the hurt that has happened in all this time, that they refuse to let go of the lens that they see you through, that holds the stress, the tension, the frustration, the resentment, the hurt, and they refuse to put that down, no matter how much change you make, it won't be enough. Just quickly, mate, if you feel stuck in your marriage, if your marriage is not in the state that you want it to be, and you recognize that you need to change first, but you don't know where to start, I've created something for you. It's called the Husband Performance Score. 12 questions. It'll take you 3 to 4 minutes and it'll show you exactly how you're showing up and contributing to the state of the marriage, exactly what you need to change and do about it in the form of a personalized profile and roadmap to get you from where you are closer to the man and the marriage that you want to have. The link is in the show notes, the husband performance score. Now back to the episode. Because in that moment, it's not about you. They are refusing to let go of that part. That part, that protective part that doesn't want them to get hurt again, they're not willing to change that. And that's the hardest part for a lot of people to wrestle with, right? Like if they've been the one that's created the patterns in the marriage, right? They've been distant, they've been reactive, they've been defensive, they haven't owned their shit. Like they're the ones that have created that dynamic, and then get to a place where they realize that they go and do some work on themselves, and they're no longer reactive and defensive. That they can own their shit. They show up differently. They handle conflict differently. They're much more present, but their partner has been so hurt from before and seen the cycles of, better than shit, then better than shit. And like is still clinging on to, oh, how do I know you like this for good? If I drop my walls, if I let you in, how do I know that this is here to stay for good? And there's a part that's a very valid concern. But it gets to a point where, okay, when are you going to take a leap of faith? When are you going to trust that this is here to stay? And it's not about being perfect. It's not, well, if you can, never go back to those old ways again, then I'll believe you. And then you're pushing that, expecting them to just jump however high you say is not going to work because we're all human. I still get frustrated at stuff that I shouldn't get frustrated at. I still occasionally just wig out. But the ownership that takes place after that, the time it takes me to have that moment and then can't just snap out of it and come back to repairing the situation, to owning it, to then whatever needs to happen after that is almost instantaneous. And that is just as much of a marker of progress as it is to not having it in the first place. Because I don't think any of us can wholeheartedly promise that we'll never do that again, right? That we'll never react in that same way. Like we'll do our best. We can make all these changes. We can try, but then it's also like, okay, I'm gonna if I do make when I do make a mistake, I'm gonna own it. I'm going to sit in that discomfort. I'm going to own what I said or what I did. I'm going to do what needs to be done to repair it, to make things right. And in those moments, it requires the that trust that things are actually going to be better. So some of the guys that I worked with, like they get to that point, and their partner even needs to go and do some work, and it's a tough conversation to have. Now that the roles are reversed, because you've got some people that are like, okay, yeah, I really want to, I want to believe you, I want to do this, but like there's the part of their nervous system, the part of them that protects them that just is really stubborn, so they need some more work with that, and others that just aren't willing to own it. It's like s they've created such a story that they are perfect and their partner is the problem, that they can't even see that their own flaws anymore. That's a dangerous position to be in. I wholeheartedly believe when we, all of us, like men, women, husbands, wives, everybody, do the work on ourself to be the most authentic expression of ourselves, whether that is masculine or feminine, everybody benefits. Every single body benefits because we get to live in that fullest expression of ourselves. Our kids get to benefit from that, and they get to see what it's like to to live like that, to express yourself in that way, to maybe be laughed at, but then just get to shrug it off, to maybe be rejected or criticized, and you're like, cool, that's fine. That's your perspective. That doesn't dint my armor because I know who I am. And then they get that firsthand experience. Like just about every parent wants their kid to just be them, right? Maybe at least surface level. But I know a lot of people that, make comments like, "Why are you like this? Just don't do this, don't do that. Shut up, sit down, slow down." Da, da, da. And it forces your kid into not being their fullest expression of themselves and whatever else. But we need to lead by example. And then when we do, it becomes a game with yeah, with a game essentially with our partner of like, cool, who can lift each other up the highest? Who can do the nicest gesture for each other because we want to, because that's how we express our love. Instead of tit for tat, well, you don't do this and you did that, and like just keeping score on the negative. You are already as powerful as you think. And so, yeah, I'm going to tie this back to where we started, the control. We don't have control over the external world. We don't have the control over our partner that we like to think we might. We don't have the control over our kids or anyone else in this world that we like to think that we do. But we do have more power over ourselves, the power over our behaviors, the power over our state, the power over our own authenticity and the way that we show up. And when we get to that place of feeling what it's like to be authentic without those protective parts that need everybody else's approval and validation to know that we're okay, to know that we're good enough to say that we're a good little boy or girl, when we get to that place, it's magnetic and it's infectious. And like, yes, you will maybe trigger some people that aren't ready for that because they see in you what they would love to see in themselves, but they can't because of their own blocks. So it's easier for them to cast stones rather than to show that love. But the people that you want in your life won't be those people. So they will find their way out. But if you know that your marriage is the one that you want to be in, if you know that you love each other, you've just got these blocks in the way of being able to have that fullest expression of your own authenticity and the love for each other. You've just got these parts in the way. And when you each address those parts and you move them out of the way, then you can be the version of you that you want to be, which is the version of you that's capable of creating the marriage that you want to have. And that's the power that you do have. So go and use it. Don't take it for granted. Go and use that power to address those blocks, those patterns in you, and actually live as the favorite version of you. And when you show up like that, just notice what's different in your marriage. If you get to that place, notice how differently your wife shows up or your husband shows up when you get to express yourself without being worried about getting hit with, oh, I don't feel like it. I'm too tired. I'm too this, or whatever other thing comes up. You just get to feel each other on a much deeper level. And I think that's where you get to really experience someone else's love when they've found it for themselves. Because it's my wholehearted belief that you can only love and understand another human being to the depths in which you can love and understand yourself. If you don't understand the parts and patterns you have about why you do the things that you do, you won't be able to see it in other people. So you won't be able to understand them fully. So you'll just label them as these things. You'll take it personally. It'll cause you frustration and resentment. And then you won't be able to love your partner because you haven't worked out how to love yourself because you've got these blocks. You've made it conditional. Like one of the most powerful things that I've experienced in this work is through understanding these parts of me and knowing how they've shown up. Now, in moments when I'm dealing with my wife and even other people close to me, in previous situations where I may have been reactive or taken things personally, I can recognize that that's a part of them. That's a part of them that's there to protect them, that at one point didn't have the reassurance that it needed, didn't feel the trust or the safety that it needed. And in this moment is just trying to protect them. And so I could just get reactive and just, logic their way into telling them how they're wrong and they're stupid and they're invalid for feeling and thinking the things that they do. Or I could recognize what's actually happening and be the one that breaks that pattern and actually provides that reassurance, that validation, helps them to feel seen and to feel heard and to meet that unsaid need that they have that they don't even probably know that they have. And that is a fundamentally different way to interact with another human being that is beyond words. And I fucking love it. So do the work, be authentic, create the life you fucking love. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.